What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Moguls. My name is Findlay-Shirras, and today we have the president and broker of record of On The Block Realty, Inc., an innovative real estate brokerage specializing in online auctions designed to bring more transparency to the industry. Now, before that, she was the broker at Right at Home Realty, an innovative brokerage that we might get to learn about today. Before that, she was with RE/MAX and as an agent, and then Royal LePage and Coldwell Banker. So we're going to hopefully get to dive into learning the different value propositions of the brokerages, and if agents and people are watching, like how can you pick which one to go to. So right now, though, and this is what we're going to start with, she is campaigning to be the director of RECO, which is the Real Estate Council of Ontario, a really important organization in the real estate industry in Ontario. So if you're a startup or a founder serving agents in Ontario, you must know about RECO, including all the rules and the laws and the policies, the dry stuff that isn't all that fun, but it is really, really important to stay on top of what's going on. So we're definitely going to get into that today. So let's get started to get to know and learn from Katie Steinfeld. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so let's start with RECO because a lot of people, I didn't even know about RECO for a while as soon as I started working with agents.
Yes.
So what do they do, and why do they exist for the agents and for the brokerages and for the homeowners?
Mm-hmm. So RECO's in charge, their whole mandate is consumer protection. So they're required to administer the rules, make sure they're enforcing the rules that we as registrants must adhere to. And they also are in charge of the education component for new registrants, as well as the continuing education for existing registrants. So they play a really important role. As you said, it's not all that exciting, but it's definitely important to ensure that consumers are well protected throughout the entire real estate process.
When you talk about the education piece, one of the criticisms in or thoughts about real estate as to why it is the way it is.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot better in Canada than in the States. It's take 2 weeks.
Yeah,
it takes 2 weeks to become a realtor in the States.
Yeah.
It takes about 6 to 9 months in Canada.
Yeah.
And people sometimes talk about, if there was more education and more barriers to entry, the industry might improve. Have you seen any changes that have happened recently to improve the education, or any improvements coming to improve the education before people get in the industry? Yes,
so there's a lot of exciting stuff coming in the way of education. We've got Humber taking over the education component for RECO, and they're administering a very new and exciting program that really takes a look at the registrant and how they work throughout their career and what kinds of issues they're going to be running into. So it's very hands-on, a lot of in-person simulations to really get a good feel about what happens in a real estate transaction, what you need to be aware of. So it's less theory, obviously that's important, but it's more how you work in the industry and how you communicate with clients. So it's really exciting. They're launching that in the next little while, and Humber's taking it over, so I really think it'll do really great things for industry.
And will they get in the business side of things? Because that was a huge criticism, as people learn about the legals, they learn about the paperwork of the real estate transaction, the laws, the policies, the procedures, but then when it comes to building a business, if they don't take these extra schooling, if they sometimes lack that knowledge, is that going to be a part of it?
Yeah, I think that'll be a component of it as well. Something to get registrants thinking about those kinds of things and what tools they're going to need to bring into their business to make it effective.
Cool.
So really all around good approach to education going forward.
Cool. Now, I remember hearing all these acronyms one time and getting confused, and I'm sure there's some other people watching this, especially if you're in the startup world.
Yeah.
RECO, OREA, CREA, TREB.
Yeah.
Can you explain the different roles and responsibilities of those 4 organizations, how they play with each other, and how they affect the agent and the brokerage?
Yeah, so when you join a brokerage, you're basically within, Toronto, for example, you're a part of a local board. So for example, TREB is the Toronto Real Estate Board. It's the largest board in North America, or Canada, I believe the world, but I know definitely within Canada, over 53,000 registrants. So that's
It's the world in North America.
Yeah, yeah.
Number one.
So it's a big board. So you'd be a part of that local board, and then OREA is the Ontario Real Estate Association, which handles provincial matters for realtors, and they've got about 70,000 members, 38 boards, I believe. So they play a big part for registrants as well. And then CREA is our national organization, so the Canadian Real Estate Association, and they take care of Realtor.ca, for example, and handle matters more on a national scale.
So is there like, what does an agent need to know? Like, these people govern you, but how do their roles and the things they put in place actually affect the agent? And things that they need to be more aware about, maybe.
Yeah, I think all of them are involved in lobbying for issues that affect homeowners as well as registrants, and rules around and restrictions that might impact us. So for example, with the Toronto Real Estate Board, maybe the municipal land transfer tax, and looking at ways maybe to lessen that burden on homeowners, and as a result, registrants can better educate their clients on that kind of thing. So all of these organizations really have an impact on how you do business.
Yeah.
I think the local boards are more involved, or you see them a lot more because they handle more of the localized things that you're dealing with on a daily basis. But all of them play a really important role, and it's important that they all kind of work together to kind of create a cohesive message and allow registrants to do the best possible job for their clients.
Now, when you think about, when you read about the industry and these new players, big players getting lots of funding, whether it be the iBuyer platforms like Open Door, OfferPad, Zillow, which is coming to Canada soon or already. And you look at blockchain platforms and the emergence of these new ways of doing real estate. What do those organizations think about those companies? Are they welcoming them, or are they unsure about them? I think they're taking time to learn about them and what they can actually offer to the real estate industry. I think what's important is that all of these organizations should be working together to make their members as competitive as possible. So with Zillow coming in, for example, they've got an amazing platform, right? Millions of billions of dollars behind it. So to strengthen our platform, Realtor.ca takes all of these different organizations to work together to provide a really strong platform for us to be able to show to our clients. Because TREB, OREA, and CREA, they're all for the agent and for the brokerage.
Absolutely.
And there are some companies out there that are trying to nix the agent and the brokerage. RECO is about the industry. So is RECO like, I don't really care how the homeowners get served, I just want to make sure they're served right, properly, if it's without agents, whatever. And where the other boards that are all for the agent, where their money comes from the fees of the agents, if the agents are dying, then these organizations are dying.
Yeah, I think RECO definitely understands the value proposition that a full-time real estate agent provides, because there's lots of rules out there that all of these new companies coming in think they know, and they don't, and rules aren't being followed, and it's up to RECO to enforce those rules and ensure that these new companies are playing by the same rules that we have to.
What are some of the major rules that you feel that companies don't understand, that they need to understand, that
I think
breaking or something?
Recently, there's been a lot with the data sharing. We've had to open up the home sales within the Toronto Real Estate Board. There's been that issue with the Competition Bureau that's been going on forever, and finally, it's been Toronto Real Estate Board has to open up the data and allow consumers to see sale prices. Now, the sale prices are protected under what's called a vow, and that ensures that people that access this data, it's a password protected site. So a lot of companies that came in at first just opened it up and allowed everybody to see everything without that password protection. The feeds that they were getting, people weren't sure where they were actually getting them from. So, TREB had to step in and say, wait a second, stop this. You need to do it properly, like every single other brokerage has to do as well.
And can they just fine these companies? Like, what if they're like, here's a fine, the company's like, I'm not paying it. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think they can do as much as they possibly can, like cease and desist orders. Like, there's things that they can do, and they've got a lot of power behind them because they're a big board. So, you know, and it's their data at the end of the day that they're sharing. So they've got to get it in the correct manner. So,
any new laws, when you think about what's happened with RECO in the last couple of years, are there any really kind of game-changing laws and rules or policies that have been created?
Well, the real estate rules that we must adhere to is going through a complete modernization. So it's been 15 years since they've taken a look at these rules, and now they're looking at, like, so much has changed in our industry over these past 15 years. So let's look at what's happening and try to, you know, amend the rules or create new rules to address the issues that we're seeing. So things like transparency, for example, that's been a big hot topic, especially in the media, when it comes to multiple offers and bid award situations. You know, registrants need to be careful about how they handle these situations. And when handled correctly, it's great. But a lot of times people come in and maybe not follow the rules to the T. And I think for consumers, there's a lot of benefit to opening up and showing more transparency when it comes to the offer process. So they're looking at ways to, you know, open up the prices so that, you know, if somebody knows what somebody else is offering, then they can make a more informed decision and increase their offer should they choose to do so. So that's something that's being considered. How they're going to roll out is going to be interesting. I think that they're going to have to be careful because you're dealing with tens of thousands of registrants, and you need to make sure that it's going to be something that's easily adopted and understood. A lot of education. That is the challenge. Yes.
Adoption.
Yeah.
Now, so you're running for director. What are some of the ideas that you have that you want to bring, changes that you want to bring to RECO and to the industry?
I think that, you know, for me, I see RECO as, yes, consumer protection is definitely the priority, but in order to do that, we need to allow our registrants to have a voice and feel better supported within this organization. So, you know, they do a great job of communicating, but, you know, it only goes so far. A lot of agents, you know, get the emails from RECO, but how many actually read them? You're getting bombarded every day as an agent with all of these sorts of emails. You just delete them a lot of times, right? So I think RECO needs to look at different ways of communicating with their registrants. I've had the opportunity to meet with a lot of brokerages recently and just, you know, hearing their perspective. They've been in the industry for a long time, and, you know, they've got a lot of value. And I think if we can provide more outreach and speak with them directly, you know, go to brokerage meetings, look at the different, like Royal LePage, RE/MAX, like look at those brands and see, you know, what kinds of issues they're encountering and how we can help them as a governing body to help them, you know, better protect consumers and better support their registrants.
What are some of the challenges that you've heard that you think brokerages need help with, that RECO can help with?
I think better direction when it comes to the rules themselves. You know, the rules are the rules, but there's some instances where it's like, okay, so how do I handle it with this? Or there's a new idea that comes out, and it's like, are they actually following the rules? So I think RECO needs to be more direct and be able to provide upfront sound advice on how to handle situations. A lot of times you hear about people calling in and asking about different things, and they're not really given firm direction, or they're not given the confidence that what they're doing is the correct way of doing things. So I think just better support, better direction will really go a long way.
There was something I read that was actually interesting. You know, the government said, you know, we need to make sure the rules governing real estate professionals and the brokerages that employ them are efficient, fair, up to date with modern realities. This goes to the modernization.
Yeah.
What do you think are some of the things that are really outdated that they're kind of talking about?
I think the transparency is something that needs to be addressed. I think giving RECO the ability to change the rules and not having to go through this whole process of contacting the government and you know, waiting 10 years or whatever it is to get these rules changed. I think with regards to that, it's got to be, you know, you got to be able to react and be flexible to all of these changes that are coming our way. Also giving RECO the ability to administer like more administration fines versus going to a tribunal and having to, like little issues that come up, whether it's advertising, how agents advertise or brokerages advertise. There's just all these little things that, you know, people are breaking these small rules, but if RECO's able to fine them, you know, not significantly, but at least that will curb that behavior and that, you know, the way we're going, like the lack of professionalism that, you know, people are seeing. I think that will help.
Well, that segues into one of the things I want to talk about, which is the common rules that are broken and the unethical practices that are done that people need to know about, that maybe they don't see, but it's happening. What do you think are the most common rules that are broken by agents or brokerages, or the most unethical thing that you see happen a lot?
I think, you know, definitely advertising is one thing. You know, just, you know, you need to have your designation. You need to be able to support what you're saying in terms of, I'm the #1 agent in a certain area. Well, what is that exactly? Yeah, exactly. So what does that mean exactly?
Are we doing away, is it they have to have an asterisk, or is it that or is that you can't even make
those claims
with an asterisk? It's just still
you can still have that asterisk, I believe, but it's got to be
more prominent, not fine print, invisible print.
Yeah, you got to be very specific. You've got to, you know, you can't mislead people at all. So, you know, those are more the minor things, but things that tend to crop up a lot amongst, between, you know, realtors, seeing that from day to day. You know, multiple representation is one thing that, you know, if handled correctly, it can work. But if you're representing a buyer and a seller.
Is it illegal yet, dual agency?
No, but there is.
Do you want to make it?
You know, I can see the benefit. They're looking at mandatory designated representation, where one brokerage can still represent a buyer and seller, but it has to be a different realtor.
Yeah.
And I see the benefit of going that route because then you eliminate that conflict of interest that could crop up when you're representing both clients. You know, it's hard. I've encountered it. You know, you get the approval from both sides, but you're still in that difficult position, and you're really not providing the service that you want to, that you could if you're just representing that one side. You know, your experience, your expert, you know, all of that stuff kind of goes out the window because all you can provide is the facts at the end of the day. And how much service is that actually providing to a buyer or a seller at the end of the day?
So when you think about all these things that RECO needs to do, wants to do, should be doing, you talked about adoption as a major challenge that they face. Like, go deeper into like what are the challenges that RECO faces to try and do the things they're trying to do?
I think it's communicating these changes. You know, you look at, for example, a Form 801, which is used to register an offer. And that's just, instead of the brokerage keeping the actual physical offer, you know, in a multiple representation situation, instead of keeping every single offer, they can keep an offer summary form that confirms that this brokerage made an offer at this time. That is being misunderstood a lot, and a lot of brokerages are requiring it, even though it's not a necessity. So little things like that, and there's a lot of misunderstandings about how this form is used, really has an impact on, you know, brokerages communicating with each other and just understanding the rules as it is. So I think the communication component, RECO really needs to take a good look at and figure out ways to get in and help people understand what's actually happening.
One of the things I also wonder, I mean, because like money is fuel for things, and associations, some are nonprofits. RECO, is it a nonprofit? And so when you think about doing stuff, if you have a lack of financial resources, that can sometimes really hinder you. Is that felt a lot by RECO, that there's a lack of financial resources to do the things they want to do?
I'm sure it is. Yeah. I mean, hopefully when I get in and see that for myself, like, I'm sure that's always going to be a challenge. But I think, you know, you just got to do the best you can with the resources that you've got. And at the end of the day, I think just more communication with everybody that's in the industry will really go a long way to just help people feel as though they've got that voice, that they can, you know, they've been heard. And a lot of times, like, I've worked on committees with TREB, and I come in guns a-blazing, like, I've got all these ideas, but I come in and I represent them, and they're like, okay, well, these are the reasons why this won't work, and some will work and some won't work, but it's like you see the other side, and if you're able to talk to people and they can share their perspective, and you can say, that's great, but it might not work for the entire industry. And then they can say, okay, well, at least I was able to voice that, issue, and I understand now why I can't do that, or why our industry can't adopt this.
What are your thoughts on, like, is it possible that, I've talked to some people and they go, well, everyone's uploading their real estate listings, pretty much, to Google or Facebook. And if you just think about Facebook being a dominant place that if you have a listing, you're going to promote it on.
Yeah.
Facebook can now suck out that data and end up creating a national MLS. And Amazon is coming out with a real estate services division where they're going to do real estate for free.
Right.
And then there's all these other companies, I mean, this is what they say. There's all these other companies that are like, we just raised $200 million, Open Door just did that like last week, and we are coming out there trying to replace agents. And essentially they're kind of talking about this new world where MLS doesn't exist. Does RECO not even exist? Like, is that even possible? Is there a real threat where these billion-dollar companies with all this money can just totally disrupt the whole thing? Is that even a possibility?
I don't think so. I
How
think
come?
there's always going to be that human element when it comes to a real estate transaction, and you can have all the technology in the world. That helps, and obviously we're going towards that, but you can't just take out a realtor altogether. There's going to be people that believe they can sell their home on their own, and that's fine. And there's flat-free brokerages. Yeah, there's flat-free brokerages out there that can, cater to that market. Yeah. But I believe there's always going to be individuals that need that help, that support, that experience to provide that 100% service from beginning to end.
Now you have a new brokerage model that you're coming out with. So why don't you just educate people about what it's all about and why you're doing it?
So our brokerage, we have a full service brokerage, but part of our model offers an auction platform. So if people want a more transparent approach to selling their home, they can choose to sell their home this way.
iBuyer? Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, it's a platform. It's just on our website, and what it is it's the home is still listed on MLS the usual way. We market it fully for about 7 to 10 days, and then on the auction day, as opposed to people submitting offers, they go onto our on our website, they register to bid, or their agents register on their behalf. And bidding starts at a certain price. There's a reserve price that's been set, which is in line with comparable sales. And once that reserve price is met, then there's definitely a sale, and the highest buyer is the one that ends up purchasing the home.
And is there a time frame that all the odd bids have to come in by?
It's usually a 2 to 3 hour window where the bidding happens.
That's short.
Yeah, I mean, we've done it. We've opened it up for like a full day before, but for the most part, people's natural tendency is to wait to the last minute. They don't want to show all their cards, So most of the time, people wait until like the last hour.
So people are either by themselves or with an agent on that platform for 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
Watching the bids, seeing their bid, and kind of like eBay, just a flash, get after it. Auction and bid
the one
and stuff
difference
like that.
between us and eBay is that in the last 5 minutes, if somebody comes in with a last minute bid, then the clock will automatically extend for another few minutes to allow everybody a chance to make an offer if they want to go higher. So it's not the quickest click at the end. We'll get the house. Obviously, it's a big purchase, so we want to make sure everybody has a fair opportunity.
Okay. Yeah. And how come you're doing this?
It goes back to the transparency argument. I mean, I'm a big fan of transparency. I think it's important to give that choice. I don't think we should be opening up every single offer in the.
Are you letting people see the offers?
Yeah. So it's just the price. So everybody's just seeing the highest price that home is at all times. And so if somebody wants to go up higher, then they can do that. The reason why we did this is because we worked with so many buyers, and just the frustration they felt that. How do I go up higher? How do I know what anybody else is offering? Like, I don't feel comfortable. Yeah. And then I look to the seller and I said, well, my client isn't going up to their maximum because they don't feel comfortable. They feel like, they don't have all the information to make that decision, or they're not even participating in the bidding war because they just don't want to have anything to do with that. So the seller, as a result, is missing out on a potential buyer that might end up going to the higher price that they need.
Do all your clients now use this auction, or is it just like you can if you want?
Exactly. Yeah.
And is it a function of only the sellers you work with decide if they want to do it this way? The buyers are just at the mercy of whatever the seller wants?
Yeah, so the seller chooses this method. Okay. We do, a lot of times we talk to our sellers because it's a new idea. We do allow people, if they want to make an offer ahead of the auction and do it, more in the traditional sense, just because we don't want to, get any buyers that don't want to participate in the auction. We get that it's a new idea, so if they don't feel comfortable, then we can, review offers ahead of time as well.
Okay. Now you left and started your own brokerage, and before that, you've been a part of a lot of brokerages.
Yeah.
How for all the people that want to know the differences between the brokerages, because some people just go like, it's a Remax, a Coldwell Banker, like it's all the same.
Yeah.
What would you have to say are the differences between the brokerages that people need to be thinking about to help them decide which one to go with?
When you're first starting out, I really believe you need to go with a brokerage that's going to provide you with that training and that support to get you off on that right foot. Although the Humber College program is going to better prepare registrants in the future, I do think you still need somebody. You're going to have a lot of questions when you're first starting out. So you need a manager that's not going to be having to manage hundreds of agents. You need somebody that's going to be more, able to provide you with that time that you need to get you started on the right foot. So for me, when I started, I went with a larger brand, and they had a really good training program in place, and were just able to provide me with that support. Moving forward, I did go to different brands. I saw the benefits of, the bigger brands are able to provide that, the more more specific training, and better. They have access to better resources. But there's other brokerages that have smaller fees, but as a result, you're not getting as much service from them. And as a realtor, you're always learning, and the more you learn, the more you invest in your business, and that comes down to the brokerage that you're working with. You're going to do better in your career. So it's just something that you really need to look at. If you're the type of person that's like a go-getter, and you don't need like people providing you with those resources, you'll go out and get it yourself. Then maybe you don't need a brokerage that's going to give you all of that up front. But it's a very personal decision, and I think it's important to kind of look at the different models, what the support is, and just their mentality behind the entire industry.
Do you think there's any current brokerage model that will not survive moving forward into the future?
I don't think so. I think there's demand for every brokerage. The lower fee models, there's going to attract a certain type of agent. The flat free brokerages, or there's always those consumers that want to pay less. And then the bigger brands. I think as long as brokerages are evolving, I think that's the important piece. If people are just kind of going to be stuck in their ways and not going to want to move with the technology, then they're probably going to lose their realtors, and they're probably not going to do so well.
What do you think is that technology or that evolution that brokerages need to start bringing on, doing, buying, acquiring, partnering, integrating? What is that?
Yeah, I think for their realtors, it's like systems to better keep contact with their clients, very easy to use websites, mobile friendly, search functions, all that kind of stuff. Things that their realtors are going to pass along to their clients and give them really useful content and resources.
Okay. I got some final questions, and it'll be a lightning round. Okay, so you have to just go with your gut and just one answer, quick phrase, or quick sentence.
All right,
okay.
Let's do it.
You ready? What's the number one reason why agents fail?
They're not prepared.
Interesting. What is your best advice to a new realtor to get a client in their first 30 days? What should they do?
Contact everybody they know.
Should agents focus in a specific geographic area or have some other kind of niche?
Oh, you mean like go all over?
Go all over or focus on a type of home or geographic area?
Geographic area.
What should agents spend more of their money on to help them make more money? Is it buying items of value for their relationships to get referrals, or is it buying leads to get new clients to work with?
The first one.
For their relationships?
Yeah, relationships.
What should agents spend more of their time on to make more money? Is it building new relationships or converting the leads they've got?
Converting the leads they got.
What's more powerful to help an agent make more money? A brokerage brand or a personal brand?
Personal.
Talk to me more about the preparedness. What does that mean to you? Why agents fail, their lack of preparedness? What should they be preparing more of?
I think, you really got to get a good handle. You're running your own business, you're an entrepreneur. And I think a lot of people rely more so on the company that they work for to give them what they need, but you're on your own, You're not going to get hundreds of leads every week. You're just not. Maybe brokerages will tell you that, but you probably won't. If there is one, I'd love to know about it because I probably would want to work with them too. But you need to understand what the costs are to get in. You need to know that you've got to hustle. You've got to get out there. You've got to put yourself out there. You've got to create a personal, like the personal brand thing. You've really got to create that personal brand.
What are some of your favorite ways to go do that?
I think, social media, Instagram, I'm a big fan of. Instagram stories, blogs, vlogs, podcasts. Some realtors are doing some amazing things with video and social media.
Yeah.
And I think the community of realtors that we have is incredible, and the amount of support we give each other. There's some people, you need to just go out there and see, who's doing what and who's killing it in what area, and talk to them, because I guarantee you they're going to want to talk to you, and they're going to want to help you, with your own stuff as well, because there's a lot of helpful people out there that are willing to do that. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Now, for the agent that's like, I don't have time to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
What's your advice to them?
Maybe you shouldn't be in this business. You got to put the work in. If you're not willing to put the work in, it's not going to work out. I think it's with any business that you run. If you're going to take that aid approach, if I can swear.
Yes, you can.
Half-assed approach, then it's just not going to work out for you. And that's what it is. You need to have that drive, that motivation. And at the end of the day, it's about the consumer. It's about seeing that you're helping them make one of the biggest financial decisions of their life. And you need to take that seriously, and you need to be all in, helping them every step of the way.
This is awesome. How can people get in touch with you if they want to work with your brokerage or learn from you, get to know you?
We're on social at Get On The Block is our our social tag, I guess, and then getontheblock.com is our website. So all of the information you can find is on there.
Well, that's it for this episode.
Thank
you so much, Katie, for being on the show. I hope you learned a lot. I learned a ton of stuff that I did not know. So, as always, if you have not subscribed to the podcast and the YouTube show and you want to be great in real estate, then click that bell icon if you're on the phone. Click subscribe so you can get to know more experts and real estate moguls like Katie. That's it for today, and I'll see you soon.